Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another Tool Tip Tuesday where we're going to take a look at a new tool that I recently purchased. It is the Mononodes Shaper. And so, yeah, just hopped into my Look Dev Gamma Jigger where I have a bunch of images that I can work on. But yeah, we have the basic node tree that is recommended for the Mononodes Shaper nodes. And we have this all going out to our DRT, which is just JP2499. And yeah, all these should be, I don't think I've played around with these yet. But yeah, the mono shaper nodes are, if you think about like, it's kind of like color slice, but different, and I think better than the stock version of color slice that's in DaVinci Resolve. Because it does something that is really nice. But yeah, just at a baseline level, these we can just say this is our exposure. You can just make a quick offset to the shot, and just kind of make some quick adjustments. It's in linear gamma. Because look at this. Look at this grandpa helping out his grandchild pick out a pumpkin for the holidays. So we have a lot of colors going on. A lot of different things. Kind of see the camera moves around a little bit. But yeah, those pumpkins are bright. It's going to be some things with skin tone that we're going to have to look at. But yeah, all we did was pop the offset a little bit. We brought down our gamma. We didn't really do anything with lift. We brought up our lift and kind of just stretched it out because I don't have a look level contrast curve going on. So we kind of had to make our own there. At a baseline level, we can see how skin looks. Skin is there. His shirt is a skin tone. The pumpkins have skin tone using them. So like everything you'd want to do to shape, say, skin tone, and make sure that little girl is fancy. It's tied to pumpkins, everything. So we're just working just at a very baseline level, not being crazy. Just so we can dive into what does this tool do for us. So yeah, they're a little pasty. They did not get much sun this summer. So yeah, it's set up. We have pretty much in the rotation of hues, red skin, yellow, green, cyan, blue. So it goes counterclockwise in terms of the suggestion of order. And I remember when I was hearing about this tool getting developed, there was a lot of debate on which way should you think, when you think about them in a vertical format, in our wheel circle, should you think about the hues going clockwise or counterclockwise? And so, yeah, the choice that was made was, the suggestion was to go counterclockwise, which, I don't know. But yeah, if we go into one of them, so this is to just select, it's focused on picking the red hue out. And so yeah, if you're just picking it out, when you're looking at it, you can kind of see when we click on highlight mode that we're just selecting anything that has red in it. We can kind of dial in our range. Let's see what that's doing. Yeah, there you go. You kind of just pick, this highlight mode is pretty much telling us where in the image are we selecting on the red hue. And we can choose things like luminosity as well, and just kind of dial in everything. But then you can kind of go, we want reds to be a little bit more saturated. We want, and there we go. Like for this image, we can see how we affected that. So we turn off highlight mode. You can kind of see just put a lot, what that did to his shoulders. It kind of just added a little bit more roundness instead of being rolled off and into almost highlights. It kind of just brought a little bit more color, a little bit more riff to it. You know, we didn't really affect skin tone at all. Like it was very narrow in its adjustment. but we can hop over to skin and see how what we're doing here affects just by turning on this highlight mode. And so we can see if we dial down the range, we can bring it up and we can see that skin is everywhere in this image. And we can just swing this around. It seems like skin that we're focused on is on the high side because they are very illumined. So we can just tighten the skin range up so that we're kind of just focusing in on that brightness. And we can kind of add a little bit more density, a little bit more saturation, turn off highlight mode. You can kind of see how it affected mostly his forearm and a little bit of the pumpkins, which are important. Pumpkins are kind of a skin tone issue. This is why one of the ones I wanted to see how well this tool worked. But if we wanted to go, we can also play with yellow. That's going to be one that is a lot of this image. And we kind of, figure out what we want to select of yellow, which you can see that skin is not part of the yellow. You can just make those pumpkins a little bit more denser, a little bit more saturated. Yeah, they're getting orange, they're not. So what we did, you can see what we did there when we just focused in on that yellow hue in the highlights and then cranked up the density. We took what was not very orange pumpkins and made them very orange. Just them. And we can easily see by just popping into highlight mode that all the pumpkins are selected and all the pumpkins are getting affected by this. We do have, as we work down in our counterclockwise direction, we have green. You can kind of see what green does. You can see there's all the green around the pumpkins, and so that's what's going to give us our color contrast, because we're trying to just draw away from that orange and the yellows that we have. So we can kind of just dial in the luma range, dial in. I want to get as much of the green selected as possible for what we're trying to do. Green and yellow do overlap quite a bit, especially when you're looking at things that are green. We want to just So this is quick. This is pretty intuitive, especially on the micro panel. Once you get used to all the nodes individually are all, the layout is the same, so you can kind of just get used to, all right, I clicked into cyan, and now I'm going to take a look at my highlights. What is blue? Her pants are blue. Kind of just dial in quickly. Get those pants selected, and that's what's going to give us some contrast with our skin. That's got that cyan, and we can shift the hue quite a bit. And what if we want those to be blue? So we just push it towards blue. And this is one of the reasons that they had conversations about which way do you think, because you come to the dial, and am I going, when I turn this hue knob left to right, am I going, which way around the dial am I going? And you can see on the vector scope that it swings. When you go left, you're going counterclockwise, which I'm turning the knob counterclockwise, and I'm turning it right, and I'm going to the right. So it is a way of when you go up, down. So it's kind of thinking through the horizontal view of your nose and turning it up, down is that same rotation that we have going on. And you can see that's what we have selected on the vector scope. I should make that a little bit bigger for you. And then as we swing that hue around, you can see we're just spinning that hue right to where we want, and that's just her pants. Kind of crank. And this was just working on the cyan, so the off color, which when we go into the blue, we can see we're still working on that same hue. We can kind of swing that back to it. Yeah, and all we did was quickly select her pants, and now there's a lot more. And that, when you look at the vector scope, you can see there's all the greens and the oranges and the skin. Everything is popping out in that direction with a lot of vibrancy. And then on the other side, those pants are the only thing that's really blue in the image. There isn't any sky, there isn't anything else, and so there's color contrast. But when you look at the sea of color, and you can do this, you can think about it in terms of a lot of the shows that you watch, and a lot of movies think about things in the rule of 80-20, and this is a really good image that portrays that. So 80% of this image is reds and yellows. There's 20% of the image is probably green, and the finite 10% is blue, and that is just enough to draw your eye directly to the main subject, who is our little girl here holding the pumpkin. But yeah, that is our key. There's some things we could do. Probably take down some of that building in the back, maybe zoom in a little bit, and things you do editing wise to keep that focus on her. But yeah, we can see the effect that we had. So that's where we were at originally, and we kind of you can see on the vector scope that we brought out the blues. We've widened the range of colors on the other side to give a lot more dynamism, but it just makes everything as a pumpkin instead of looking overwashed and sun bleached. Which, now that that's all established, we can kind of maybe talk about going in and going back to our exposure and kind of tweaking some things on our exposure that we had kind of undersold before. And yeah, we're getting towards a happy place. But yeah, this is a really fun tool for Mononodes. And I can see it being used in very specific situations where you want to select an individual hue, like when we were thinking about cyan and the blue for their pants. What we wanted was to drive as much contrary color separation with that limited hue that we had, contrary to everything else. Yeah, we went in and dialed everything up and made adjustments to the other hues, but ultimately the one that I was most concerned about, we didn't even touch magenta. Was there even any magenta in here? Maybe a little bit, but it's not what was important. What was important was getting the blue and the cyan to that as maxed out as possible in terms of separation from all that orange, because that's where your eye is going to go, to that blue outfit, that 10% of color. I think there's a term for that, but you know. Anyways, this was Tooltip Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed. There's a link to Mononodes. It's not sponsored in any way in the description. I paid for this DCTL on my own, and I'm quite happy with it.